This video is brought to you by John Robson Guitar Tuition. If you enjoy the content, please consider supporting the channel by enrolling on a course, purchasing some guitar lessons or a t-shirt, or you can join my Patreon. Now, on with the show. Hello chaps, welcome once again to John Robson Guitar Tuition. As always, I do hope you're well. That solo you just heard there is from a song called No Reason to Stay by Joanne Shaw Taylor. It comes from her 2016 album entitled Wild. And what I really like about this solo is it demonstrates a number of things. First of all, that blues is very much alive and kicking, and it's a good bit of contemporary modern blues, a modern take on it. What I also like is the fact that it shows that you can play a blues solo over a chord sequence that isn't, let's say, constrained by the typical 12-bar blues 3-chord format. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but it just shows you that blues can exist outside of that idiom. Tell you what, here's a little bit more of an in-depth explanation about what's going on, what makes a solo work, and what makes it sound bluesy. Okay then, here is the chord sequence that underpins the solo. I'm not going to play through it because it does take a while, but just looking at it, you can probably get a sense that E minor is quite an important chord in this little progression. When you play through this chord sequence and stick an E minor at the end, that makes the whole thing sound resolved and finished and at rest. That's what we call the tonality, and therefore we would say that this chord sequence has an E minor tonality, and that is the biggest factor that you take into consideration when choosing a pentatonic scale to play over the top, and this solo is largely based around the pentatonic scale. It begins in pattern 3 of the E minor pentatonic scale, because E minor is the tonality, we're using E minor pentatonic. That is pattern 3 of E minor pentatonic, and you can see there I've indicated the 4 notes that this solo begins on. We actually add in one extra note, the only non-E minor pentatonic note in the whole solo, which is this F sharp here at the 4th fret on the D string. So the opening lick goes something like... something like that, and you can hear that F sharp is only there fleeting, just as a little passing note almost, but it's still there. After that, most of the action takes place up in this pattern of E minor pentatonic, position 1 up at the 12th fret. There is one little detour away from that towards the end. I think it's in the penultimate run of the solo, where instead of coming down to this G note here, we go for it there on that string. So like that basically, but it's still the same note. One thing that you'll find throughout this solo, which is very, very definitely a hallmark of blues guitar playing, blues lead guitar playing, is something that we call the blues curl. And this is where you take the minor third of your minor pentatonic scale, which is a G note. There is their obvious example of it there. 12th fret on the G string is obviously a G. And you just bend it slightly sharp, so you get that kind of thing. If I just play a little phrase now like this, that could come from any genre of music. But as soon as I bend that note slightly sharp, it intrinsically makes it bluesy. See what I mean? It just turns it into a blues lick instantly. And most of the time when she's playing that note there in the solo, it is having that treatment applied to it, and elsewhere as well, up here, like that. The main thing for me that really is the big lesson to learn from this solo, though, is the phrasing. Okay, we've not got anything in the way of, clever note choices and, playing to the chord changes or anything like that. So it's all down to the phrasing to make the solo work. And the big thing here is what I'm going to call the question and answer nature of it. It's sometimes called call and response. You can call it what you like, but it's essentially play a phrase, then play another phrase, which is sort of an answer to that phrase. Here's an example of it in the solo. And here's another example of the same sort of thing. And here's one more, just for good measure. And you may have noticed there that I think it was on that final one where the answer is a bit longer than the question. This is a common ploy used by many blues guitarists especially, but you'll find it in many genres of music. When you're getting towards the summit of the mountain, when you're getting towards the sort of the climax of your solo, if you like, then if you just make the answer phrases that little bit longer, it creates a bigger sense of tension. It creates that build-up a little bit more. So, for instance, if I was to play a simple little blues lick like this, here's the question, like that, then I could play an answer phrase that goes like that. So string those together, you've got a typical question answer. Like that. When I get towards the end of the solo, I could go more like this though. Like that. Just carry it on a little bit longer, and as I say, it gives the whole thing a little bit more emphasis and makes it sound like it's reaching some sort of climax. And it's a great thing to try out in your own in your own phrases and your own licks, and give it a go. The main thing, as I said, that this solo really demonstrates for me is that, and I do this all the time, I'm as guilty of this as anybody, I'll talk about, oh, and look at the clever use of this note over that chord, and oh, and this mode is ideal to use here, and this is where you can use the super Locrian altered dominant or diminished scale, yada yada yada. All that stuff is all well and good, but if you don't have a solid phrasing sensibility, then it's just going to sound like a bunch of scales. And a solo like this is a great way into getting that solid phrasing sensibility. Try and just get your head inside the instinct of what makes this solo work, and hopefully I've given you a little bit of an insight into that. It's proof that you don't need to use all the clever stuff, or to use exotic scales, or even kind of do all the shreddy sort of stuff in order to play a great solo. So see what you can learn from it, and above all, have fun. And there is, of course, a full tab in Guitar Pro and PDF formats, along with a video of me playing the solo and that clip that you've just seen there of me explaining it, and a jam track to play along to. All of that is up on my Patreon page. There's the address, and the link is, of course, in the description. It's only $3 a month, and you get all of these extra resources that go along with these YouTube lessons. Thank you so much to everybody who's supporting me in that way, or any of the other ways that you can help support the channel. All the links are down in the description. Thank you so much. I'm really grateful, and thank you in advance if you're thinking about doing it. And that is pretty much it for today, folks. Hope you've enjoyed the video, found it useful, informative, maybe even a little bit inspiring. And if you have, please hit the subscribe button and the notification bell if you haven't already done so. And why not give me a like while you're at it? it. Don't forget the live stream on Friday. I know it's only Monday and Friday seems a long way off, but I do like to remind you every now and again. 5 p.m. UK time every Friday. We sit around and have a beer and talk about guitar, music, whatever else crops up. It's a great way to kick off the weekend, and I'd love to see you there if you can make it. But for now, I'll bid you all a good day and say thank you so much for watching. Thank you for your time. Look after yourselves, folks. Stay well, stay safe, and above all, stay sane. Bye for now.